Hi everyone. So today let us continue our series. We are seeing for the complete guide of building the skills for Claude. So I think completed till chapter 4. So let us focus on the chapter 5. So this is pattern and troubleshooting. So this is what kind of problems or use case we can see and how can we troubleshoot the solution. So let me zoom in a bit. Yes. So it says that these patterns emerge from the skills created by early adopters and internal teams. They represent common approaches we have seen work well, not prescriptive templates. So two approaches we are following to describe a problem to the cloud. You know? And second is the tool first, where you have a tool, then you decide what particular use case you can perform with that particular tool. So skill both same. The problem first is that I need to set up a project workspace. So you begin with the problem. And in the tool, you already have a tool. Like you have a Notion MCP, you have a linear MCP. You already have some tools and you want to find what exact use case I can solve for it. And you just so pattern one, there is a sequential workflow orchestration. In the sequential, you have taken an example when you need a multi-step process in a specific order. Where this sequence has to be followed perfectly. Stepwise sequence, step 1, step 2, 3, 4. Whenever a new customer is onboarded, you create an account, set up their payment, you create subscription, send them welcome email. So in this, when you have the sequential workflow, key techniques are you can explicitly define what are the steps needed in this particular direction, particular sequence. What are the dependencies because to reach to this step 2, what are the things that need to be done and validations, rollback, instruction, how that error will or debugging will happen. Any of these steps will be pattern is a multi-MCP coordination. This I think we talked about when you have multiple MCPs or multiple tools connected and you want to the workflow that includes multiple columns to be called. So you need to define how handoff means when which particular tool in which scenario it will be called. We have taken example of design to development handoff. So you design export like Figma MCP of design. Then you want the asset to be stored somewhere. Then you have a Google Drive MCP. Then you want that to be shifted to the linear from that design. You want the task to be created in Zira or in linear. So you can create that. And again, that task notification should go to the Slack to the particular development team who will work on that particular assignment. So it is saying that this automatic handoff requires each of these tools have an MCP. You see, multiple tools they have an MCP. Now, when which tool will be called and after what steps that tool will be called, this techniques decides some techniques they have written here with a clear phase separation. Then there is a data phasing between MCP. Data has to be passed. Data passed means if I have created this design export from Figma, then this design has to be stored in this. One design has been stored, then link has to be created. Then again, based on that link, task has to be created. Because you see, a set link will be attached to that task. Then you assign that to engineering team. Then you pass that summary to the engineering team. So it is saying that data from each of the previous step has to be passed to the next step. Pattern 3, third pattern they have seen is iterative refinement. It means that once you have this final thing, before that you have a refinement loop where you decide that what is the output that you have got, whether that meets the standard that you have defined or whether it needs to loop in again. The process has to be repeated again until you get a final formatting. So an example they have taken are report, some report you are creating. So you do a quality check, then you refine that, you revalidate, and you finalize that. That is the final. That is a context-aware tool. Pattern 5 is domain-specific intelligence. Your skill adds specialized knowledge. So beyond tool also, you can give some domain knowledge. Like you see, there is a loop or a if-else functionality built in where if compliance is passed, you call this sensible tool. Else, you flag for it. You create compliance list. And then you create a audit trail. So this is a example of financial compliance you've taken a domain specific thing. Troubleshooting. Skills won't upload. So these are some of the errors. Could not skill find skill.md in a folder. File name not created. What could be solution? You can rename. Invalid front matter. Causes can be viral formatting issues. So these are then the invalid skill.name. So these are some of the errors. Skills does not trigger. It does not load automatically. So you have to revise the description field. So they have given the solutions. Now there are connection issues. Verify the server is connected to extension to user resource authentication. Test MCP or independently without connecting. You change it without skills. Check it independently. Model laziness. Add explicit encouragement. Note adding this to user prompts is more effective than skill token. So it is saying that sometimes model is lazy. Lazy in the not in a common term that you use, but sometimes even if you add that description or anything in the skills file, it model may not call that. So it is saying that rather than adding that to in the skills file, you add that into the system instruction or in your user prompt, and that explicitly you add that. That take your time to thoroughly and do not listen. Now move to the chapter 6. So chapter 6 is just resources and references. So they have shared some resources. These are official documentation by Anthropic. Some of the blog posts they have done, examples they have. These are the tools, validation, technical questions. For bug report you can send on the GitHub. So this is a reference checklist. Before you start, take a 2-3 concrete use case to identify the MCP or tools that you want. Review the guide, examples. During development, you follow these standard folder named in the WAP case, excel.md file, before uploading, after uploading. So these are the something. Reference the front matter, the document you create, YM, what are the required fields, optional fields, and this is the reference for complete research. This is the PDF you are referring to. Then the example, they have various workflow patterns. And these are partner skills directory, means companies which have already created their skills and applied, like Asma, Atlassian, Canva, Figma, etc. Okay, so you can see how they have created and how they are applying those skills. So I think that's all. In the next video, maybe we can take up something else. And, okay, that's it. Thank you.